keep you in my heart. And my heart is where you are. I still think of you. I want you coming back. I remember when we were staring at a photo. Don't forget the way you look me in the eyes. And I keep you in my heart.
Hi there, beloveds. Welcome home. I'm Gloria, doing a Vlogmas series of Bible reading. We are reading the Gospel of Luke, chapter 13. Jesus gives a warning. Some people who were there at the time told Jesus about certain Galileans Pilate had mixed their blood with their sacrifices. Jesus said, "These people from Galilee suffered greatly. Do you think they were worse sinners than all the other Galileans? I tell you, no. But unless you turn away from your sins, you will all die too." Or what about the 18 people in the Siloam? They died when the tower fell on them. Do you think they were more guilty than all the others living in Jerusalem? I tell you, no. But unless you turn away from your sins, you will all die too. Then Jesus told a story. A man had a fig tree, he said. It had been planted in this vineyard. When he went to look for fruit on it, he didn't find any. So he went to the man who took care of the vineyard. He said, "For 3 years now I've been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree, but I haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it use up all the swell?" "Sir," the man replied, "leave it alone for 1 more year. I'll dig around it and feed it. If it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then cut it down." Jesus heals a disabled woman on the Sabbath day. Jesus was teaching in one of the synagogues on a Sabbath day. A woman there had been disabled by an evil spirit for 18 years. She was bent over and could not stand up straight. Jesus saw her and asked her to come to him. He said to her, "Woman, you will no longer be disabled. I am about to set you free." Then he put his hand on her. Right away she stood up straight and praised God. Jesus had healed the woman on the Sabbath day. This made the synagogue ruler angry. He told the people, "There are 6 days for work, so come and be healed on those days, but do not come on the Sabbath." The Lord answered him, "You pretenders, doesn't each of you go to the barn and untie his ox or donkey on the Sabbath day? Then don't you lead it out to give it water? This woman is a member of Abraham's family line, but Satan has kept her disabled for 18 long years. Shouldn't she be set free on the Sabbath day from what was keeping her disabled?" When Jesus said this, all those who opposed him were put to shame, but the people were delighted. They loved all the wonderful things he was doing. The stories of the mustard seed and the yeast. Then Jesus asked, "What is God's kingdom like? What can I compare it to? It is like a mustard seed. Someone took the seed and planted it in a garden. It grew and became a tree. The birds sat in its branches." Again he asked, "What can I compare God's kingdom to? It is like yeast that a woman used. She mixed it into a large amount of flour. The yeast worked its way all through the dough, the narrow door." Then Jesus went through the towns and villages, teaching the people. He was on his way to Jerusalem. Someone asked him, "Lord, are only a few people going to be saved?" He said to them, "Try very hard to enter through the narrow door. But I tell you, many will try to enter and will not be able to. The owner of the house will get up and close the door. Then you will stand outside knocking and begging. You will say, 'Sir, open the door for us.' But he will answer, 'I don't know you, and I don't know where you are coming from.' Then you will say, 'We ate and drank with you. You taught in the streets.' But he will reply, 'I don't know you, and I don't know where you are from. Get away from me, all you who do evil.' You will sob and grin your teeth when you see those who are in God's kingdom. You will see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the prophets there. But you yourself will be thrown out. People will come from the east and the west, the north and the south. They will take their places at the feast in God's kingdom. Then the last will be first, and the first will be last. Jesus' sadness over Jerusalem. At the time, some Pharisees came to Jesus. They said to him, "Leave this place, go somewhere else. Herod wants to kill you." He replied, "Go and tell the folks, I will drive out demons. I will heal people today and tomorrow. And on the third day, I will reach my goal. In any case, I must keep going today and tomorrow and the next day. Certainly, no prophet can die outside Jerusalem. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you kill the prophets and throw stones in order to kill those who sent to you. Many times I have wanted to gather your people together. I have wanted to be like a hen who gathers her chicks under her wings, but you would not let me. Look, your house is left empty. I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, 'Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord.'" Chapter 14. Jesus eats at a Pharisee's house. One Sabbath day, Jesus went to eat in the house of a well-known Pharisee. While he was there, he was being carefully watched. In front of him was a man whose body was badly swollen. Jesus turned to the Pharisees and the authorities on the law. He asked them, "Is it breaking the law to heal on the Sabbath?" But they remained silent. So Jesus took hold of the man and healed him. Then he sent him away. He asked them another question. He said, "Suppose one of you has a son or an ox that falls in a well on the Sabbath day. Wouldn't you pull him out right away?" And they had nothing to say. Jesus noticed how the guests picked the places of honor at the table. So he told them a story. He said, "Suppose someone invites you to a wedding feast. Do not take the place of honor. A person more important than you may have been invited. If so, the host who invited both of you will come to you. He will say, 'Give this person your seat.' Then you will be filled with shame. You will have to take the least important place. But when you are invited, take the least or the lowest place. Then your host will come over to you. He will say, 'Friend, move up to a better place.' Then you will be honored in front of all the other guests. Anyone who lifts himself up will be brought down, and anyone who is brought down will be lifted up." Then Jesus spoke to his host. "Suppose you give a lunch or a dinner," he said. "Do not invite your friends, your brothers or your sisters, or your relatives, or your rich neighbors. If you do, they may invite you to eat with them. So you will be paid back. But when you give a big dinner, invite those who are poor. Also invite those who can't work, the disabled and the blind. Then you will be blessed. Your guests can't pay you back, but you will be paid back when those who are right with God rise from the dead." The story of the big dinner. One of the people at the table with Jesus heard him say those things. So he said to Jesus, "Blessed is the one who will eat at the feast in God's kingdom." Jesus replied, "A certain man was preparing a big dinner. He invited many guests. Then the day of the dinner arrived. He sent his servant to those who had been invited. The servant told them, 'Come, everything is ready now.' But why all have the same idea? They began to make excuses. The first one said, 'I have bought a field. I have to go and see it. Please excuse me.' Another said, 'I have just bought 5 pairs of oxen. I'm on my way to them now. Please excuse me.' Still another said, 'I just got married, so I can't come.' The servant came back and reported this to his master. Then the owner of the house became angry. He ordered his servant, 'Go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the town. Bring in those who are poor. Also bring those who can't work, the blind and the disabled.' 'Sir,' the servant said, 'what you ordered has been done, but there is still room. Then the master told his servant, go out to the roads, go out to the country lanes, make the people come in. I want my house full. I tell you, not one of those men who were invited will get a taste of my dinner. It cost to be a disciple. Large crowds were traveling with Jesus. He turned and spoke to them. He said, anyone who comes to me must hate his father and mother. He must hate his wife and children. He must hate his brothers and sisters. And he must even hate his own life. Unless he does, he can't be my disciple. Anyone who doesn't carry his cross, follow me, can't be my disciple. Suppose someone wants to build a tower. When he sits down first and figure out how much it will cost, then he will see whether he has enough money to finish it. Suppose he starts building and is not able to finish, then everyone who sees what he has done will laugh at him. They will say, this fellow started to build but he wasn't able to finish. Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king, and suppose he has 10,000 men, while the other has 20 coming against him. When he first sit down and think about whether he can win, and suppose he decides he can't win, then he will send some men to ask how peace can be made. He will do this while the other king is still far away. In the same way, you must give up everything you have. If you don't, you can't be my disciple. Salt is good, but suppose it loses its saltiness. How can it be made salty again? It is not good for the soil, and it is not good for the trash pile. It will be thrown out. Those who have ears should listen. The story of the lost sheep, chapter 15. The tax collectors and the sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law were whispering among themselves. They said, these men welcome sinners and eat with them. Then Jesus told them a story. He said, suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Won't you leave the 99 in the open country? Won't you go and look for the lost sheep until he finds it? When he finds it, he will joyfully put it on his shoulders and go home. Then he will call his friends and neighbors together. He will say, be joyful with me. I have found my lost sheep. I tell you, it will be the same in the heaven. There will be great joy when the sinner returns home, away from sin. Yes, this will be more joy than for the 99 godly people who do not need to turn away from their sin. The story of the lost coin. Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. She will light a lamp and sweep the house. She will search carefully until she finds the coin. And when she finds it, she will call her friends and neighbors together. She will say, be joyful with me. I have found my lost coin. I tell you, it is the same in heaven. There is joy in heaven over one sinner who turns away from sin. The story of the lost son. Jesus continued, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger son spoke to his father. He said, Father, give me my share of the family property. So the father divided his property between his 2 sons. Not long after that, the youngest son packed up all he had. Then he left for the country away. There he wasted his money on wild living. He spent everything he had. Then the whole country ran low on food. So the son didn't have what he needed. He went to work for someone who lived in that country, who sent him to fields to feed the pigs. The son wanted to fill his stomach with the food the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. Then he began to think carefully. He said, how many of my father's hired workers have more than enough food? But here I am dying from hunger. I will get up and go back to my father. I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven, and I have sinned against you. I am no longer fit to be called your son. Make me one of your hired workers. So he got up and went to his father. While the son was still long way off, his father saw him. He was filled with tender love for his son. He ran to him. He threw his arms around him and kissed him. The son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer fit to be called your son." But the father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattest calf and kill it. Let's have a big dinner and celebrate. This son of mine was dead and now he is alive again. He was lost, but now he is found." So they began to celebrate. The older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants. He asked him what was going on. "Your brother has come home," the servant replied. "Your father has killed the fattest calf. He has done this because your brother is back safe and sound." The older brother became angry. He refused to go in. So his father went out and begged him. But he answered his father, "Look, all these years I've worked like a slave for you. I've always obeyed your orders. You never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But this son of yours wasted money with some prostitutes. Now he comes home and for him you kill the fattest calf?" "My son," the father said, "you are always with me. Everything I have is yours. But we have to celebrate and be glad. This brother of yours was dead and now he is alive again. He was lost and now he is found."